which is like, oh my God, you guys have the dream family. Like just seeing this work is like entering the universe of this unique universe of what you guys embody. And it's colorful and playful and organic and futuristic. And, I love the kind of conversation visually and with color and shapes that you guys are all having with each other. And, for example, the piece that you had that was so wonderful. It was like a submarine sailboat, but and it had Harriet Tubman written on it, and it was just the construction of it was beautiful. And
thank you.
And it also reminds me of your father, who is also a very incredible artist, sculptor, and the work that you also did with him. So, maybe you can talk about like the work that you do in terms of sculptures and the work that you do with your dad and the work that went into that show.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning it. Autobody was a great experience. It was, those guys were really kind. Johnny Knapp and Quentin and Tyler and Georgia. They're really cool, and they had a great space, and they had this, Johnny had this idea, and Johnny approached me, and I was really thankful for it. And it happened really fast. And it was actually in a town that I spent some time in as a kid that I didn't really like. I was like, I wasn't a delinquent or derelict back then, but I was like not into J. Crew kind of suburbs thing at all. I was just like really whack because I grew up in Soho. Right? I grew up in Manhattan.
Right.
And I wasn't into Soho. I was into nature. I was into skateboarding, but it was like before skateboarding got super popular. Meaning like there was lots of drugs and stuff, but it was a lot of fun. It was really fun, and there was no pretense. That's how I remember it in 1984. Anyway, but Autobody show was great.
I want to bookmark something. Since you mentioned you're not the J. Crew person, I want to kind of describe what I'm seeing on screen right now, which is this amazing outfit. I love this top. It's like
and it's actually
turquoise
a bottom
blue.
The
oh my
pants.
God. Yeah, you're really into the one pieces, right? Or this is a two piece. But he's like,
this is a two piece, but it's the same color, and I'm always looking for matching things, and I love this. Saskia gave this to me.
Oh, wonderful.
I was supposed to sail this summer in it, but we kind of got it too late in the season. Like I was a captain on a boat this past summer.
It looks like it's just got bowling pins all over it, and yellow, green, and black. And it's like a blue shirt with lines, and it's just amazing.
Yellow and black. It's great. I'm glad you like it. I really love this. I was like, I have to put something nice on in case they're actually going to see me. I wasn't sure. I'm so out of it with this stuff. I know you said something with the camera, but I was like, oh no. But so Autobody was great. And this piece that I made to share for the show, to have in the show, was something I actually was like over a long period of time I made it. So basically it was a dinghy first, dinghy to ferry myself out to the boat. And like a while back, I helped deliver a boat to the Azores from Florida. So we were in a sailboat. We crossed some, 3/4 of the Atlantic, and it was amazing.
Wow.
And I had this biography I've always liked Harriet Tubman. And I mean, I know Harriet was on boats because she like helped in the Civil War, right? She was courageous. She was like the amazing person. She did the most radical things to me, like,
Yeah, the Underground Railroad is
Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
it's like phenomenal, like to me. So I've always had a lot of respect for her. I read a lot about her. I haven't visited her home yet because I know she made like a hospital in the Adirondack somewhere where John Brown lived. John Brown from Harper's Ferry from the beginning of the Civil War. I think it was Harper's Ferry. When he sees this arsenal of weapons and he got caught. He was like abolitionist, really devout. He got hung. Anyway, so I named it the Harriet Tubman because I love it. And it was really neat to row a dinghy around a marina. Well, basically, let me go backwards. I liked rowing my dinghy around called the Harriet Tubman prior to the show. For many years, like 15 years, I had this boat called the Harriet Tubman. And I still have it. It's in the yard. And most of the people who are at a marina, they're really well educated, but it's really homogeneous. Meaning it's sort of like half of who I am. Right. I'm mixed, right? So it's 100% Caucasian. And I hate to say it, but it's super limited. So people would ask me, like, who's Harriet Tubman? I wouldn't expect them to know.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, it was a Civil War soldier. I would say that. I'd be like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, I would flip it. Like, she wasn't a Civil War soldier. She was the opposite. But it was just like kind of my reaction to like the sailing community that I immersed myself into. I was like, this is so whack, and everybody seems so whack here. So I was like, I'm writing the Harriet Tubman, going out to my boat called Friends. So long story short, it turned into this kind of submarine / little sailboat, which I encapsulated that. That's what I wanted to make. I wanted to make this like thing you couldn't get out of, like an egg. And it's supposed to be like similar to like a small boat people would sail across the ocean, which people do, but it's not made to do that. So that project's kind of ongoing. I have some ideas for it, and it's still I'm going to sail her. That's what I'm going to do. Not far away, like, in a contained area.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, I saw it as a sculpture, but I wasn't sure if it could actually float. Like, I didn't know what the dynamics of that were.
Yeah, and I'm just working on how I'm going to actually make it so I can use it again, and not just as a sculpture, but as a floating, a sculpture for kind of like a performance piece. So we'll see. And then in terms of my dad, my parents, and Saskia and Mamoon, they're all artists.
Incredible artists. It's everyone.
Thanks, and it's great to be around. I mean, everybody's so different. From my mom is a painter mostly, and my dad's a sculptor, and he's been taking photographs. And Mamoon's really into making music, but also he's really into growing living structures, like grafting trees and using mycelium. And Saskia is into collage and painting and drawing and stuff. So
all kinds of materials. It feels like
all types of materials. Yeah,
I see her with fabric. Felt. I see her for that show. It was like metal.
Yeah.
But very fun colors. And I mean, everything about your family is like great colors and minimalist shapes, very organic sometimes. There's a real kind of elemental quality about everything.
Yeah. I'm glad you got to experience that show. Thanks for coming. It was great to see you there.
Oh, no, I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. And I really missed during COVID, that space, I think it wasn't open.
Yeah, I don't think it was open.
But like the usual summer things that I would get into out east, I was kind of bummed to not have those kind of spaces for gathering and for running into folks. And just like, summer in New York is kind of great.
Well, hopefully this summer will be more. Just one question. The thing about the surfathon. So I did a surfathon a few months ago, and I've always wanted to do something like that. Again, I like being in the water. I really do. I mean, I'm not getting paid for it or anything, which wouldn't matter, but I really enjoy it. So I was like always thinking of a way. I really want to surf 24 hours. That was my thing. I was like, I want to try to surf 24 hours. It's nice.
I saw at the end of the article, it says something about you doing that for the equinox or what, summer solstice or what do we call it?
Summer solstice, yeah. Right. So that's the plan is. So next month, I'm going to try to do it for the spring equinox, right? From sun up to sundown. So that's like 12 hours. And then in the summer solstice is the idea, right? But what I really like about this, I like it when it's, so normally I get tired around like 6 o'clock sometimes. I feel like, I just want to go to sleep. But I really like being up at night at twilight. Like I like being up like at 3 sometimes,
3's
right?
The magic hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I love that blue light. And I like the idea of surfing when it's that color, right? So that's why I'd like to do a 24-hour surf.
Yikes.
To be like, that's what I'm thinking. I would like some people to come surfing with me if anybody's interested for the 24 hours.
I would do it.
Especially at night.
Yeah, if the moon's full, I might do it. If it's not, I don't know.
It would be really weird. I mean, especially if you're on a shortboard, it seems like you're more vulnerable, even though you're not. You know what I mean? If anything happens, anything's gonna happen. But so yeah, the surfathon was really fun. It was perfect conditions, small waves, beautiful. It was offshore wind, very warm that day, and I was thinking about the food pantry because I heard that I didn't know that there was a food pantry in Montauk for a long time, right? But I was thinking, wow, in the lap of luxury,
right,
the Hamptons, right? Of course, there's a need for food, right? Because wages are really weird there still, right? Not still, but they are. And I was like, I want to do something where I'm not just spending a lot of money at the local health food store or the 7-Eleven to buy food. I'm like, I want to stop doing that and also try to direct funds to them by surfing. And surfing is a lot of fun, right? It can be for me. Like I'm just going straight. So why not do it for the food pantry? And they were into it. Alice, who runs it, is amazing. She used to own the East Deck. She's doing incredible work that I can't. I'm not mirroring. I'm doing a fraction of what nothing compared to what she does. But I was like, this is cool. I like what they're doing. They don't want food. They just want funds. And I was like, this is great. So kind of waves for funds or waves for food.
Right. Well, it also raises awareness to these kind of communities that exist within communities, right? You only see maybe a landscape in one way and not knowing kind of the levels. I mean, I always find it interesting, like the traffic that you see at 5 o'clock, you know, on 27 is usually all the landscapers and people who work on houses who are leaving to go back to, you know, quote, where they live, because they don't live out east. They live in who knows how, you know, how much further west they have to live. But there are so many different communities that exist that people might not be aware of, and communities that are, you know, actually hungry, like next door neighbors, you know, you just don't know.
And communities
like in town.
Say, in town, or people who are working in restaurants or just working in the community who don't have enough money for food in the community.
And also like with the gentrification, I mean, I think Montauk, right? Like real estate prices are insane, and it's like pushed out a lot of working class folks. And, you know, I imagine also people who are elderly. I just wonder, you know, it's I'm sure there are a lot of people that are also kind of squeezed out and left behind because of all the changes there, you know?
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you because I know we discuss this a lot, you know, this idea of diversity in surf cultures and especially out east. You know, it's very homogenous. It's very white, you know, affluent, whatnot. And one of the things that we complain about together, you know, this subconscious racism that exists, right? Especially in surf communities, water communities, like you said, these marinas where you're, you know, you might be the only person of color there.
Hey, I have friends who've used in front of me nig rig, and I was just like, wow.
What?
And like, not like, you know, or boat nigger, not calling me that, or you know, you sink because you're black, not because of me, but referring to it like as if I'm invisible. But I mean, I could be from Mauritius. Who knows where I'm from? You know what I mean? I could be from like a mixed Mauritius person or wherever. I could be from Suriname or Tobago. Not that they have to know that I'm mixed, but not that it even matters. I wasn't raised that way, but just like insanely derogatory things said about people in my presence, right?
Wow.
Because they think they can do that. So Montauk, I mean, this area used to be way less mixed in my experience. I mean, there was one other guy with dreadlocks when I used to have dreadlocks a long time ago. And we were completely different complexions and builds, and people would be like, "Oh, I have pictures of you." Not that this matters, but and it was like someone who's like half my weight.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
I was like, what?
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Maybe that was an honest mistake, but it's like, look at the.
Wow.
I mean, people say things like the things I just said about nig rig or boat nigger or, you know, sink. Because that's what they feel comfortable, you know, like this time is exposing a lot of that stuff. Right. But like, people really feel comfortable with that. And people's houses I've stayed over, like, feel comfortable saying that. I'm like, I don't want to hang with that, you know. But in the water wise, not. Because people don't really never said anything to me, you know. And I guess when I think of my backup for being in the water, it's really because I have done a lot of prone paddleboarding. So what does that mean? I have a lot of endurance, like to be paddling around or being way outside of people and not around people who rip, but like, you know, the old longboard people. Like I can move around kind of relatively fast still, just paddling around. So why am I saying this? Because I guess by like meandering or migrating around lineups, it's like I don't have to deal with people.
Right.
I don't need to hang. Like, I mean, if I maybe wasn't as capable, I'd have to hang and endure this like this feeling of like weird feeling of like what people say. And
that's really interesting. I do feel like if you keep it moving, sometimes you, like as a woman, I know as a traveler, sometimes I know that like as long as I keep it moving, I could be safer, because if I sit around for too long in one location, it's enough time for someone to